Good evening, folks. Welcome to the 30th episode of the Ken Matias Sports Podcast. I have Austin Mendes, a senior at Nichols College that's in the sports broadcasting program, correct me if I'm wrong, and is also the Bay Path High School JV high school coach, if I said that right too.
Yes.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Hey man, I appreciate you coming on. Share your story to the world, how you got first into sports broadcasting. You can talk about your old colony career if you want to, and talk about your coaching career. So the floor is yours. Go for it.
So you talked about it. I went to Old Colony like yourself.
Yep.
Um, Played
Good school.
football. Yeah. Played football, baseball, basketball there. Really got into it with football. A lot of my teammates called me the coach on the field. Played quarterback, played defensive end, all that jazz. Then when I ended up going to Nichols for college, while at Nichols, I'm sitting there going into my sophomore year, and I'm just like, I want to coach football. I want to do something in relation to just getting back in the sport. And I reached out to my offensive coordinator, who is now the head coach at Whitman Hanson High School, Zach Patello. He reached out to Brian Richards, who is a guidance counselor at Bay Path. He was the defensive coordinator at Bay Path. Now he's working as an assistant coach at Millbury High School, and he got me in there, and I've been there for 3 years. We've won back-to-back large vocational championships
That's awesome.
and going for a third one next week. In terms of just sports broadcasting, something like as a kid, I'd always like commentate my Madden games,
Yeah.
different games I was playing on my Xbox and stuff like that. And my dad said, "Hey, you're pretty good at it. You should think about doing it in the future." So at Nichols, again in my sophomore year, um, I got the opportunity to work with Andrew McCarthy, a good friend of mine, doing the baseball team here at Nichols. And then he's like, "Hey, you should do this for the school." So that spring, I did my first game as a play-by-play broadcaster for the softball team. And then it kind of just blew up from there. I went doing all 24 varsity sports here at Nichols. I traveled to Batavia, New York this summer as the director of broadcasting for the Batavia Muck Dogs, their baseball team, similar to the Cape Cod League.
Yep.
Um, Out in Western New York, I've done games for Salve Regina, and a bunch of other people have reached out for me to broadcast their games, done a bunch of public address announcing for Uxbridge High School, Bay Path Voc Tech, and just stuff along those lines.
And that's a lot. And you're only what, 21, 22, and you're like successful, heading into your senior year. You're about to graduate what, in May, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, what's been so far the highlight between your coaching and broadcasting career that, you could give advice to a kid either your age or younger or even older, like what's your key to success and what do you hope to improve or get better on?
So, starting out with broadcasting, the thing that I did when I first started is I listened to a lot of professional broadcasters. Um, I went out, listened to Ian Eagle, Doc
Right.
Emmerich, guys like that to
Mm-hmm.
try to get an understanding of how I should sound. And the mistake I made when I first started broadcasting was I tried copying them too much. When you're broadcasting, you just want to find something that find your own path, find your
Mm-hmm.
own rhythm to things. Um, the other thing too is that you want to expand your horizons. So if you're going into broadcasting, for example, you want to learn everything you can about every sport that you're doing. I'm the type of person where I say yes to probably 95% of things, and that's something that's been drilled in my head here at
Yep.
Nichols is that you never know where an opportunity will take you. So, I did, for example, I do field hockey during the fall along with football and every other sport that Nichols has to offer, and I took the time before my first field hockey game to learn the sport, to learn the ins and outs of the sport, to see how a field hockey broadcaster
Mm-hmm.
does it. And I just went for it and didn't look back. I just was myself. If I made a mistake, I owned up to the mistake. And if eventually that ended up getting me a offer from Wheaton College to do broadcasting for them, which I hope to do in the near future. Hockey was something that I was really excited for when I first started broadcasting, and I'm the type of guy that I'm even for both teams when I'm broadcasting. I have the same amount of excitement no matter who is on the field and whatnot. And I feel like that's given me a ton of opportunities. In Salve Regina, for example, Nichols was playing Salve. They heard me broadcasting and they wanted me to do their conference playoff games last year. So when you're broadcasting, unless you're specifically told to be one-sided, be even for both teams.
For
Go
sure.
out. You never know who could be listening on the other end of the broadcast, and it could turn into something. That's what happened this summer with me going to Batavia, is that everybody heard how even I am with both teams, and then it turned out to me going to Batavia, New York this summer and spending the summer out there with the Muck Dogs.
No, that's awesome. I mean, like you said, you never know who's listening. I mean, I've had people tell me that too. I'm like, hey, I just do a general podcast and I interview people in the industry. So it's like, I'm not looking to get rich off of it, but I mean, I tell people about it if it's in the sports media or the connections I have, yada, yada, yada. But no, I'm glad like you're on the right path and hopefully, leaving school, you're going to find something that it's either in coaching or broadcasting that you're just going to pursue hopefully for the rest of your life or both. But as far when it comes down to both, which one do you prefer? Could you see yourself doing both or more one than the other, like coaching?
I could see myself doing both, of course. Right now, coaching's all in my mind. I just came from practice about an hour ago. Um, Again, we're gearing up for us to play Oxford High School on Thanksgiving Day, and then next Thursday we are playing Whittier Tech for our hopefully third straight large vocational championship.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. I can see myself doing either or. I mean, whatever opportunity arises, I'm gonna go down that path and give my best effort, my best foot forward to whoever takes the chance on me.
No, that's awesome. I mean, as far as either one goes, whether it's broadcasting or coaching, do you want to be at the college level? Do you want to stay at the high school level like you are now? I mean, I feel like you're a pretty knowledgeable kid from playing the sport and knowing the ins and outs because you've texted me in the past and I'm like, hey, I try to learn like different plays and stuff and I'm like, whoa. And then like cover two, like defenses, just growing up playing Madden, I'm like, all right, I'm still kind of learning and then I still got to Google stuff, but enough about me. But could you see yourself going to like maybe a D1 school and be like, this is my knowledge, hire me as like, I don't know if they would consider it like a graduate assistant, like if you went to go work at BC, like hypothetically, you want to work at BC and Bill O'Brien brings you on the staff. What would you be able to like bring to his staff? Like, would you be like just like a graduate, or how would that work being at a different school than Nichols?
So it's kind of funny because my first year at Bay Path, I was kind of thrown into what most graduate students do. Like
Yeah.
at the lower levels, D2, D3, graduate students are controlling a position for the most part. You don't have a ton of people on your staff. But then, using Boston College, for example, at
Yeah, that was an
one of the
example.
higher up D1 schools, grad students are typically just like assistants to the assistant
Hmm.
or something like that. And my first year at Bay Path, I was the offensive coordinator for the JV team. And then on game days on Fridays, I was just kind of there, like getting the kids up, getting them motivated and everything and all that. And wherever I was needed, that's where I filled in. And that's kind of what grads do at the D1 level. Um, so going from there, I believe that using your Boston College example again, I could help a team by wherever they need me. Recently at Bay Path, I've been thrown into up in the booth helping the OC slash head coach and defensive coordinator call plays, pointing out what I see and everything like that.
Hmm.
And I can give you the X's and O's. I understand the game
Hmm.
enough to be able to give us the best chance to win. I chart plays throughout the game, and then when the second half rolls around and that crunch time rolls around, I'm able to throw out what I believe is going to be the play that they run. And most of the time, I'm pretty spot on. Like there'll be a little bit of differences here and there, but I'll be able to look at the formation and be like, oh, they're running toss left or
Hmm.
ISO right or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's talent, talented for a 21, 22-year-old kid to basically be a head coach of a JV team because it's usually what like an older gentleman, middle-aged guy in 20s, 30s, 40s. I mean, would your next step maybe be varsity? I know I'm going to the college ranks, like I said, BC, but where do you see yourself going from here, like as far as college? Do you want to stay with Bay Path or you just want to basically advance your schooling or level? Like, hey, like I know I'm ready for this, even if it's a D2 college or something. Or even
So,
Nichols, maybe, if they got an opening.
so in terms of like advancing my careers, I could see myself at Bay Path again. I'd like to do it at the varsity level.
Hmm.
And as much as like JV's fun and all, you can do whatever you want. I'm always somebody that I'm looking for a challenge. And I feel like at the varsity level, like that's the best challenge that you're gonna
For
have
sure.
at high school level is that you're taking this group that you prepare with all week. They're not per se the greatest athletes in the world or have been playing football forever. Or they like high school could be the end line for them.
Hmm.
And taking them and competing in and out every week, and that I feel like is rewarding. You look at the college level and especially college now, like the NIL deals and everything.
It's changed the game.
Exactly. And I feel
Hmm.
like it's more so that these students are playing for that contract as opposed to playing for their school, where at the high school level, they're playing for their school and their future and for the group that they're building throughout the
Hmm.
season. So, I mean, I could see myself coaching at a varsity level, in a bigger role, I should say. And I can also see myself moving on if I continue coaching to a Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 NCAA level, or even like a lower pro level. I feel like I have the drive, the work ethic,
For
and stuff
sure.
like that to do it. And for anybody listening, like I said earlier, just say yes. You never know where the opportunity is going
Hmm.
to take you. I've been privileged to, when I say yes, the opportunities been able to build on each other and help me to get to where I am today. And I know that no matter where I am, I'll be able to put my best foot forward and give them my complete devotion and effort to making the overall program successful.
No, that's awesome to hear. And it seems like as you were talking about your dad, like, hey, like you were calling the Madden games. Like that's crazy. Like, commentating, playing them as a kid. I grew up playing them as a kid. I haven't kind of fallen off with video games, but that's another story. But to have the support from your parents and notice a talent at a young age, like that's impressive. And then obviously, playing on varsity at OC under, was it Coach Mendes? He was the
Yes.
head coach. You probably learned a lot from him. And was Gilbo there too, or he was with ORR? He was already with ORR, right? Bryce Gilbo.
Yeah, he was with ORR. I learned under a bunch of great coaches at O'Colony. I can probably name them all off the top of my head right now. Brandon
Go.
Mendes,
Yeah, Brandon Mendes. Yeah.
Zach Patello, currently at Whitman Hanson, Coach Franklin. He's, I believe, still the OC defensive coordinator. Sam Patello, Zach Patello's brother. Um, Coach Boomer Rodrigues, one of the funniest guys to be around. He's a great guy all around. Coach Sylvia, Coach Trahan.
Yep.
They're all great guys to learn from, still resources of mine. And I know if I have a question or anything to try to help what I'm doing now and help the organization or team I'm with now, I can always rely on them. And they're a great resource. They've taught me a ton of stuff, and I'll forever be grateful for everything they've done for me.
No, I mean, Matt Trahan's done a phenomenal job being the AD there. I don't know if Benny's still attached to the school. He's a super nice guy. That Trahan family seems like they really are nice people. So, I mean, Old Colony building a program when I was there, I think we were like mediocre, but you guys had better years than us. But it's always a lovable school, good environment. But staying on track here, sorry, I'm getting like all over the place with things. But nah, man, like what you do is like inspires many people, and like I feel like you're much younger than me, but you're more successful than I am. And I'm like, damn, like I realized at a young age that hey, I wanted to go to school, I wanted to work, but I'd rather work and be in the workforce. But then I've always had that passion for broadcasting as much as you. I've never thought about coaching. I wish. I mean, I've been a little assistant on my best friend's little league team when we were doing Fairhaven Acushnet a few years ago, and I loved it. I'm like, if I could be like, in the future with my son, having my son now, if I could help coach his team for whatever sport he does, I'm in. Even if it's an assistant, I don't even care. Do it as a volunteer, whatever it is. But keep striving at what you're doing, keep going, man. And I really appreciate what you do, like for this industry on both ends, because I'm hoping to see you at the NFL level at some day. And even if it's with the lovely dreaded Patriots that I love seeing every week, but that's that's another story. But no, I mean it's good. It's a tough industry when it comes to broadcasting, and people like you make no money. I think you've told me this. I've had people tell me this. They're like, you start off at a lower thing, and I'm like, hey, I understand. But I mean, just keep doing what you're doing. Getting back on track here. So it's been 3 years at Bay Path, you said, and you've been the head coach, was it two? I could be wrong.
So my first year, I was the JV offensive coordinator. Um, Kind of just going out there, seeing what I can do. Just basically, Coach Giampa, he's done a great job throughout his time at Bay Path. He wanted me to just see what I could do with the group that they had, and
Hmm.
now they're seniors at Bay Path. My second year, he threw me down on the freshman team to build what the future varsity team is, which they're currently sophomores now. I was the offensive coordinator there on the freshman team, also with Coach Dan Mungin, who great guy. If you ever get the chance to meet him, he's just he's been so supportive of the whole program, the players and everything. He's a very knowledgeable guy. Um, Still currently at Bay Path. And then my third year, I got thrown back on JV, sticking with that sophomore group and kind of just been running the show on the JV level. Um, Going through, we just finished our season. We finished 9-2.
Yep, you were
Had
saying
a
that.
victory last night against Killingly High School, a phenomenal program in Northeast
Hey, I see you
Connecticut.
have your voice, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, I did a lot to get my voice back for this interview.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But Coach Neil down in Killingly, he does a great job building a program. They've been phenomenal for years on years on years. And us, we came together as a group. This was exactly what this group needed to propel themselves for the varsity level. It was a great job all the way around, by everybody involved from top to bottom, and able to pull out a hard-fought victory against Killingly last night to finish the season 9-2. Our offense scored 30 points per game this year and gave up a little over nine.
Yep, I think that's what you said to me
Yeah,
earlier. Yeah, that's impressive. That's got to be
defense gave up
probably
nine, not offense.
that's got to be what high ranks on offensive and defensive side of the balls, basically. I mean, to score 30 points in high school, to me, that's a lot per game. Like some of these games are lopsided, but I don't follow high school as much as you do. But
Mhm.
some of the play and stuff is mediocre. I mean, around here it is what it is, but I'm not dogging any kids. Keep striving at your dream. But because you guys are Connecticut, right? You said so you guys play like do
We're
you
in
guys play Mass?
Massachusetts.
Oh, you're Mass. I'm sorry. I thought you guys were
Yes.
Connecticut for some reason. But you guys just play Mass schools, right? You guys don't play like Connecticut or anything.
Yeah, we just play Massachusetts schools. We played Killingly because, again, Killingly.
That's Connecticut, right? Because didn't
Yes.
you do some stuff for them if I remember?
Yes, in the
Yeah.
spring I work as doing social media for their baseball team.
Yeah,
But
that's what it was.
Killingly was going to be a challenge, and this sophomore group, they've worked so hard. Um, Sophomores and juniors, they've worked so hard to get to where they are. The varsity team, they've been successful with 28 seniors, I believe they have this year. So it's going
Wow.
to be a complete overhaul for the most part. And like I was saying, this game against Killingly, it was exactly what this JV group needed for them to take the next step now to the varsity level. And I mean,
Hmm.
everybody at the start of the year, they have one goal in mind to win a championship. And in Massachusetts, it's to go to Gillette Stadium to play for an MIA championship. And I believe that this JV group coming up, they have a great shot to make it all the way to Gillette and possibly win it at Gillette.
Wow.
Um,
I know that
top
starts next week for different
yeah,
divisions.
exactly.
Yeah.
Top to bottom, they have, there's not one like player that stands out from the rest, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
They work together as a team. They're great top to bottom. All 11 guys that step on the field and 50 or something odd guys that are reserves or rotational players. They all know their role, they all understand their role, and they all have the same goal in mind. And that's exactly what you want from any team that you're coaching. And I'm proud of how they've handled themselves the last 2 years, and they have really bright futures, every single one of them on the team. And again, hope that I not hope I know that they can do great things if they work together and keep their minds to it.
Hmm. You were saying just a little while ago, who's having a lot of turnover? Is it going to be you guys or was it Killingly High School
So varsity for us is going to
for
have a
us?
lot of turnover. They hit varsity has 28 seniors.
That's a lot, damn.
And the biggest one to replace will be our two running backs, Braden Downs. He's ran for, I don't know, more than 3,000 yards. And Caden
Wow.
Brochu, who has been the focal point of our offense, running a wing T. Fullback's typically the focal point. Everybody knows that. Caden Brochu was the leading rusher in the state last year, and this year picking right up where he left off. It's going to be tough to replace them, but if anybody can do it, I know it's the guys that are moving up.
I'm assuming he's going to be pursuing more of his career, at either the D1, D2, D3 level, right? He's going to college.
Yeah.
Where do you know where he went or where is he going, I should say? Where he's going to commit to?
He's not committed anywhere yet, still exploring his options, but I know wherever Caden decides to go, he's going to be a focal point on that roster and he's going to continue his success.
No, that's awesome to hear. I mean, it's good to see that you guys got a good program on the varsity and the JV side, thanks to yourself and many other coaches that have helped a long way. But keep going, man. That's awesome. Keep at it. I wish you nothing but the best next week. If you guys are going to be playing in the championship, you were saying, or you guys got to get there first, right?
Yes, we'll be next week is the championship game against Whittier Tech. Championship will be at Assumption. It should be a good game. I mean, every championship's a good game, but like I said, and I keep saying it, this group that Bay Path has, it's a special group. The seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, they can do it. I mean, they've done it the last 2 years, so
Hmm.
let's make it a dynasty.
No, that's awesome. Shifting gears, I want to talk about one specific person that you and I have texted about in the past. Explain your relationship with Bob Sosi because he's a super duper nice guy, and you've met him in person, I'm assuming, and I haven't. I've only spoken to him on Zoom and over the phone, but Bob's a good dude.
Yeah, so Bob
Love Bob.
Sosi, working for 98.5, the Sports Hub. He
Yep.
is the voice of the New England Patriots. Um, that connection that I built with Mr. Sosi, it was just straight through me messaging him on LinkedIn and
I think that was me too. It
seeing
might
if
have
I
been
could
me
learn
too.
anything from him in
Yep.
terms of just bettering myself as a broadcaster, as somebody pursuing a sports career. And Mr. Sosi uh, worked games at Navy, did it for Navy football, and now, of course, the voice of the Patriots. I got the chance to meet him briefly in person. It was at a Patriots game last year. I think they were playing the Bills.
Oh,
Um,
that might have been the game that actually won close, if
yeah,
I
they
remember
Mac
correctly.
Jones led a game-winning drive.
Yep. I
Um,
remember.
yeah, that was a crazy game.
Yeah,
But yeah, Mr. Sosi's extremely knowledgeable, willing to help anybody that
for
reaches
sure. He
out.
is.
He's just the he's a great guy all around, and he's somebody that like everybody has a role model. He's one of my role models when it
Hmm.
comes to broadcasting.
No, he's such a great guy. I mean, he'll tell you the way it is too. I mean, he's been upfront and straight up with me too. I've talked to him on the phone a few times. He's been a part of my podcast. I actually just texted him recently. I'm like, hey, like when's gonna be a good time for you to come back on? And I gotta hit him up maybe after Thanksgiving if he has time. But he's such a good dude. I like listening to him and Zoe. I don't listen to their calls super often because I try to watch obviously the game broadcast wherever I am. But the little I've been hearing them this year, I mean, they sound great. They do it. They're a fantastic tandem. So I hope you get on his level someday because that's a good guy to look up to because there's so many guys in this industry that I've had on my podcast. You're like, wow, you've had a stellar cast, and I'm like, hey, like including yourself, everybody, it's been great, you know. Noah Eagle's great. Bob's been on, and I've had Alex Barth, even people that aren't broadcasters and just journalists and writers. I'm like amazed at what they do because they had to work very, very hard to be in these positions, and that's just the way the industry is. But I definitely wanted you to explain your relationship with Bob, and I appreciate you sharing the story that you met him at the Bills game last year.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I was just sitting down with my buddy Kyle. He just comes walking up the stands. I believe it was him and Zoe that were
Oh,
walking out
probably. Yeah,
together.
probably going to the booth or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and just recognized him, said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And yeah, quick interaction. But those quick interactions, they can go a long way
For
depending on
sure.
who it is, and just being friendly with people. Like people remember how you treat them.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, like the more people you're friendly to, the more people you help, that's going to leave more of a positive impact on people than anything else.
No, for sure. And obviously, if you have a little time, I do want to talk about the pro level. I do want to stick with the Patriots. I know I've been all over the place talking about your career. I love hearing that too. What's your current state on these 3-9 Patriots? Because it's been a dreadful watch every week, and I tell my wife, I'm like, am I gonna watch this week? Of course I am. I do the pain to myself every week because the season's so short. So, what's your lovely take? Seeing we got a few minutes here left on them at 3-9 in the first 12 weeks.
So ironically, I just wrote a story for one of my classes on the Patriots, how they have a bright future ahead.
They
Um,
do, they do.
Sitting at 3-9, there's some things that can be changed. You see a lot of the reports coming out about the
Hmm.
issues in the locker room. I just saw a report today that following their loss to the Dolphins this past week, a lot of the players in the locker room were kind of like joking around, like,
I
yeah,
did see that.
and one guy that wasn't was Drake May.
He took it hard, yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what you want out of a young quarterback. He's
for
going to
sure.
be a leader in this locker room, not only this year, but going forward in the future. And I mean, the ceiling just keeps increasing day by day for Drake May. And then defensively, Christian Gonzalez, he's one of the best corners in the league statistically and by PFF grades. Um,
He's got to be top five or top 10 because I see everybody shared stuff on Twitter about him. Seems like he's a low key guy. I mean, he likes his
Mhm.
social media too, I follow him on social media and stuff. But Gonzo, heading into it, I'm like, who is this guy? And then a guy I used to work with is like, hey, this guy's really, really good. So we got lucky to get him at 17 last year. And I'm like, all right, I want to see what he can do. So continue. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I had the opportunity to talk to Gonzo quickly at a practice, and he's the most
Really? Wow.
down-to-earth guy that you'll ever meet. I mean,
Wow.
like you think most people think like, oh, the NFL players are like,
Some, I guess. I'm not gonna
yeah, yeah,
talk
yeah.
for every single player in the league right now,
Just
but
saying like
some,
stereotypically.
yeah,
But like Gonzo's, you talk to him, and he's just a normal guy that's enjoying what he's doing,
for
and
sure.
he's really good at what he's doing.
Hmm.
So, I mean, going back to the 3-9 record, like, yeah, it's 3-9, but as a Patriots fan, like, a lot of people aren't enjoying watching the games and everything.
It's been tough, but I've been trying to stick through it.
I'm enjoying it, solely based off the factor that I'm having fun watching the games, based solely on I have zero expectations.
Yeah.
So when
That's
something
that's a
goes
lot of
well,
people.
when something goes well, I'm like, oh, like this is great. Like the future is so bright. And then when something goes bad, I'm like, oh, well, this is what you're gonna get this year. I mean, going off that zero expectations thing, the Titans game when Drake May threw the game tying touchdown to Ramondre
That
Stevenson.
was crazy.
It was like they won the Super Bowl for me. Like I was going
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I
And
was
then
too.
of
I
course
was
they
too.
ended up losing, but just the
Yeah.
little thing. It's the
Yeah.
little things that bring you joy.
No, for sure. And I don't know if you could share that piece, but I'd love to see that piece that you shared to your school if once it's graded or whatever, because I'd love to see your feedback on it if you could. If not, that's totally understandable. It's schoolwork. I get it.
Yeah,
But
I can send it to you
yeah,
after the
after it's graded, what yeah, it doesn't have to be today, obviously. But if you just wrote it, obviously it's gonna take a little bit to get graded. But yeah, I mean, them at 3-9, I was trying to be optimistic every week. I'm not trying to be like every Patriots fan. Like I went to go pick up dinner, I think, for my family and my wife like a couple weeks ago. This guy's like, "Hey, what'd you think of the game?" I think it was when they lost to I think it was last week when they lost to the Rams before this week. Oh, I want them to tank. I'm like, listen, buddy. Personally, I don't. Like thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't. Like, I don't want them. Like, I know they're gonna get a top five, top 10 pick, but I just want this team to get better, and I want Coach Mayo to take more accountability. I mean, I remember him as a player. He was a beast, getting drafted out of Tennessee thanks to the Niners that year in '08 or whatever it was he got drafted. And I'm like, this dude's a beast. But I just want these guys to basically gel. Obviously, Drake May really likes AVP Van Pelt as his offensive coordinator, but he's been getting a lot of the crap end of the stick saying, like, hey, like, this guy's not it. And I mean, I don't know what your point is because you're more knowledgeable to football than I am, but I see some of the plays he calls. Like, I think Drake May completed, what was it, the Austin Hooper touchdown in Miami. It was like fourth and whatever it was. He ran out to the left and he just flung it, and Hooper was just waiting for it and he scored it. I was like, wow, like, that's crazy. Or he ran out to the right, if I remember the play exactly. But I'm like, wow, that was basically a wow moment to me. Like, this kid can scramble out of the pocket and he can get you 30, 40, 50 plus yards rushing. I mean, should be on Stevenson and Gibson. But quickly
Mhm.
thought on your on the offense this past year, and then we'll probably wrap it up with that and EVP. Like, what's your thoughts heading into 2025?
So AVP, he's in a tough situation.
For sure.
The offense isn't the greatest.
He got dealt a bad hand of cards, in other words.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of I forget the I think his name's Nick Caley. He
Nick
was one of the
Haley, yes.
finalists for the offensive coordinator job. He
Did he
ended up
go to Atlanta too?
he's on the
Or
Rams.
the Rams still? Okay. All
I
right. I
think
thought,
the QB's coach or tight ends coach, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, something like that. He was with us.
Hmm. But AVP, people say he was the offensive coordinator in Cleveland.
No, Stefanski, I think was. He basically was head
Yeah,
coach OC.
exactly. Stefanski called the offense, and
Hmm.
AVP is learning just as everybody else learns. You're gonna have hiccups, you're gonna have ups and downs, and he's getting the worst people is the Boston media. And the Boston media,
We
they
know
we've
that.
been spoiled for
20
25
plus years.
something
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
with how good the teams have been. And
Hmm.
I understand that you want to keep them at the expectations, but you also have to understand like to build Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
Belichick didn't build the Patriots in a day. I mean, he got lucky with Tom Brady. You're not you're not going to get Tom Brady every year.
Yeah.
So,
I might quote that Rick Pitino quote. What did he say when he was the Celtics coach way back when, if you happen to see it? I know this was probably right before you were born, like in the mid 90s. I was probably a kid. Larry Bird's not walking through that door. I think that's what he said. I don't know if you've heard that before, but
yeah,
yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah, Patino saying that at the Garden of the Fleet Center, but go for it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the the issue that a lot of coaches deal with, especially in their first year, is getting buy-in.
Hmm.
And I feel like Mayo is starting to struggle with the buy-in. I mean, that was my issue my first year coaching was
So you
that
know what he's going through.
Yeah, exactly. And he's too friendly with the players, I feel
Hmm.
like, and um you kind of have to find that middle ground and understand and make sure that the players understand that there's a line and you do not cross that line.
Hmm.
Um, and ultimately, recently the players are kind of just like, oh yeah, whatever, like they were again after the Dolphins game when uh the receiver Javon Baker when
Oh yeah.
Javon Baker got in trouble with Mass State Police at Logan Airport.
Yeah, I remember that.
He kind of got a slap on the wrist, like
He did.
Belichick would have.
Kept them in the doghouse for weeks, if not the rest of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
now, like Baker could be a great player. It's just that he doesn't have that
Hmm.
repercussions that Belichick had, and that's what made Belichick such a good coach, and
True.
what made the Patriots good for 20 or something years. I mean, yeah, Brady's mixed into there and everything.
Hmm.
It was just the perfect scenario
For
for
sure.
everything.
I just want to let you know I'm less than a minute. I don't want to lose you, so I hate to wrap it here.
You're good.
But I appreciate it, Austin. Feel free to throw out your socials quick. Make sure you follow this guy because he is a wonderful kid, so go for it.
Austin Mendes 10 on pretty much everything except for Twitter. It's Austin Mendes 20 on Twitter.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.